storytelling wherever we go. It's gained so much currency. But again, it also tells us that it's a very important thing to talk about. In a brand new world where digital disruption drives every aspect of our lives, it's amazing where we are today as a people. Life itself will become very mechanical and regimented without the soothing balm of storytelling, as it were, otherwise known as content, depending on how you see it. The truth is, everyone has a story. I mean, that's the beauty of the world. Everybody has a story. A particular gentleman made a big deal out of people's stories, people we hardly recognize. The humans of New York, those who remember. He would pick on people, seemingly ordinary people, and tell their stories. A particular country, Sweden, I think, at a point in time, decided to give the country's website, it's one of their social handles, to the citizens of the country. So every time, every single day, one individual, one Swede, would be the one talking for the country. So every individual has a story. Some have made an art of it and have spawned a whole new industry, things we could never have imagined. Teaming with influencers, content creators of all sorts, and a host of hitherto unimaginable vocations. And that's where the world is today. And there's a whole lot more that will come. Nations tell stories. If we don't mind, can all the phones be silent, please? I mean, I get distracted by sounds. I'm sorry. Nations tell stories. Sometimes they tell it by themselves, through what they do or what their citizens do, or what people say about them. Sometimes their stories are also subdued in the stories of and the heroics of their people. At other times, and this is the dangerous one, outsiders tell their stories, coupled together from a myriad of odds and beats done by their people. And that's where we seem to be as a people, where people tell our stories for us. Do they really know us? Do they know our stories? If you don't tell your stories, people will tell your stories for you. And that is what people will take on. We'll talk more about that going forward. But I find it very interesting that very recently, when Donald Trump came up with this ban on certain types of visa for Nigerians, there was a lot of interest in Nigeria. Whether it was paid for or whatever, the Farid Zachary story on CNN did a whole lot of enlightenment for people to know who these Nigerians are. But what it tells us is that as a people, we have failed to tell our story. The Nigerian community in the US and whatever, they have failed to tell their story in the real sense of it. Because they don't pull together like the Asians and the other people. They don't have the known lobby that would have made it impossible for Donald Trump to even attempt it in the first place. But again, that's part of stories being told by nations and their people. Again, like I said, that particular one is not desirable. And I'm happy also, even though God has tagged this advertising, I'm happy that in reality, I think we have more PR practitioners here than advertising people. So it's not just about advertising what I talk about, it's about communication and what it stands for. Now, the problem with that particular one is that you don't have control over the input. So there's no way you can guarantee the output. And that's where we seem to be in different times that we have found ourselves as a people. In today's world, truly powerful nations have gone beyond justly for control in the real world, to extending their frontiers in outer space. I mean, it's not just the good old US, USSR, or Soviet Union anymore. It's about India and China going to space,